So today we're looking at preventing measures for you to take in a world where 1 in 7 women get breast cancer. We can look at how to reduce our own inflammation and heat and toxicity in our body, which can be an underlying factor. I'm Andrea Marsh, a shiatsu and Chinese medicine practitioner in the UK, and I specialise in helping women alleviate their midlife health and menopause symptoms naturally. I know how supplements can rebalance health, and I became an advocate of Modexus when I felt a major difference in my energy levels for taking longevity. I'm really pleased today to speak to the founder of the Modexus range, Dr. Charles Rouse. Dr. Rouse is a registered pharmacist and pharmacologist and a doctor of natural medicine. As head of the Modexus Product Research Council, he formulates the natural products for the longevity of our health. Thank you for joining me again today, Dr. Rouse.
Hey, Andrea, and thank you very, very much for inviting me. It's my passion as a pharmacist, getting to formulate, actually making the actual products. That's even better than good.
I know, and I can only imagine, because I was pretty shocked when recently I found out that 1 in 7 women get breast cancer nowadays. And that was completely reinforced later in the day when I was in the room with the same number of women. There is a gene that sadly means there are women that are predisposed to getting this cancer. But today I'd love your insight on how we can all reduce those kind of triggers, that are the underlying factors like inflammation and toxins in our system, to give us a better chance at overall prevention. What are your thoughts?
There you go. And let's talk for just a few moments about breast cancer, but more importantly, how we can be preventative. Because if we stay on the clean side, the healthy side, that body that's always trying to work for us, we need to feed it the right materials, and it does a good job. But the real question, Andrea, comes that people always ask people in the professions like you and myself, what causes some people to get cancer and other people get a pass? And I always tell them, I said, well, one of the best ways to understand the human body and the ability to fend off the enemy, particularly cancer, is walk with me out in my garden and let me pluck up a beautiful little flower. I'm going to grab it right down by the bottom of the stem, and I'm going to gently pull it out of the earth. And as I look at it, you see the roots. The roots are the main thing. And actually, that was the hidden part. That was the secret part. And because you didn't see it, you didn't realize how important it was to the rest of the beauty of the flower. And if you go out and look at a beautiful tree, down here in Georgia, we are famous for pecan. We call them pecans, pecan trees, the nut. And let me tell you, these farmers are very meticulous about the beauty and the welfare and the health of their trees. They pamper their pecan trees better than we do our human bodies sometimes. And if you look at the tree, all we're seeing is just the upper part, the visible, but down in the earth where the roots are, the growing down into the soil, that's where all the minerals and all the water and all the nourishment and all the health comes from. So it's the invisible part that's most important to you and I. And inside our human bodies are all these little cell structures that are unique to the system. And we need to strengthen the roots. We need to put more nutrients into the system. And then we become impervious to cancer by strengthening the roots. You understand that it's a metabolic thing. And we've learned from cancer that the DNA is important, but more important is the mitochondria, the cell structure where the energy metabolism is a must. And when we fix the cell energy, fix the mitochondria, then things are better. So my pecan farmer friends, they say, Dr. Charlie, my tree today has a blight, it has a cancer. I can go to the barn, get out my axe and my machete and cut it out of there. That's like surgery, you know, cancer surgery. Or he might say, well, I can go back to the barn and get out my flamethrower and blister it, just burn it off of there. That's like radiation in cancer therapy. Or he said, I might make me a big bucket of this slurry of all these chemicals and just paint it on there and poison it, just poison the blight. And that's like chemotherapy. But the farmer says, Dr. Charlie, you know, as much as I don't want to damage my tree with a knife or burn it off of there from the blight or to poison it, what I want to do is to make it healthy, to make it more vibrant, to make it more better. And he said, I always go to the root and I nourish the root. I go back and fix it. And when you look at it, Andrea, what's some of the initiators? What is it that's creating so much breast cancer in young women? And sometimes it's simple stuff, but yet profound, like radiation. You know, a mammogram, as important as it is, the mammogram is pushing radiation back into the breast, which can burn the tissue and create a cancer. Now, isn't that ironic that the actual test can create more problems? So I've always recommended, before ever having a mammogram or any kind of radiation, X-ray, be sure that you super antioxidant your whole system. I like to use the Lonicera Longevity because it is my favorite super antioxidant. It has the Lonicera berry, the maquis berry, the glutathione. And when you can wipe out all of those potentials that radiation could cause, or think about chemistry, chemicals. We're all creatures of habit. Sometimes we eat a French fry or a potato chip or a fish and chip. And you know, when you deep fry your food, the acrylamides chemistry, the chemicals can actually be cancer producing to the breast tissue. And again, you need protection because whatever we're eating may be damaging, but yet when we have a good antioxidant production, body takes care of itself. And look at viruses. Women are very prone to cervical cancer because of a papilloma virus. And we've learned extensively in this viral surge over the last 2 years with Corona that, wow, these viruses are damaging the cell structure and making things very difficult. So we need antiviral effect. Lonicera Longevity brings on the antioxidant, the glutathione, the anti-inflammatory. And inflammation is real. And sometimes that hidden inflammation in the body can be the worst. But probably, Andrea, the most common reason for breast cancer today is a constant exposure to environmental agents. The world is full of toxicity. So we need to pull out every day, detox our system, and the lifespan of the cell structure, the mitochondria itself, does not need to become erratic. Your cells do need DNA repair. They do need DNA guardians. They do need DNA caretakers. That's what we call glutathione. That's the reason that Dr. Charlie puts glutathione in there. And we need to normalize the whole immune system, T cell, B cell, natural killer cell. And when all those little critters are working on our behalf, it won't allow, it doesn't want any cancers to come into our body. Improving the antibodies of the body is necessity. And orthomolecular chemistry is definitely true prevention. And glutathione, look it up, Glutathione is the master molecule to get it done. So enhancing the immune system goes to the root cause. And when we get down to the root, we're in for a better day. And here's a good tip to remember. Glucose, high refined granular sugar, causes fermentation in the gut and messes up a good system every day. So be cautious. Don't overwhelm yourself with sugar because it messes with your white blood cells. And since the immune system plays the central role in the longevity of the cell structures, glutathione, that's in Lonicera Longevity, is able to work in all these different complex systems of the immune system. So I truly believe, Andrea, that breast cancer is beatable, preventable, and necessary. We need to treat the body right, eat right, exercise right, drink more fluids, and be sure that we get the right nutrition.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Charlie, Dr. Rouse. I know you call yourself Dr. Charlie.
Yeah, Dr. Charlie is just right, just right.
I think your analogy there, firstly, to a tree that go to the root of the cause, and prevention is very much about dealing with the roots. Then your analogy of taking a machete or chemicals or flamethrower to it, it sounds horrific. I don't think there's anybody that would do that to a tree. And yet, especially a tree that was producing food or fruit, and yet that's what we do to ourselves. So I thought that was a very stark analogy. And the other thing that people might not realize about this low-level inflammation in the body is that it does produce a heat. And from our point of view in Chinese medicine, heat in the breast tissue plus toxins, well, what happens to a substance when it starts drying out? It turns to a jelly, or it can turn hard and gritty. So it's the basis of lumps. So for me, if you can remove the heat, the inflammation, as you were saying, you can reduce the toxicity that is there from even the Chinese medicine point of view. There is a real prevention that you can do, not just for breast cancer. Let's face it, we're talking about all disease here. And so I found that very fascinating, and I really loved your analogy on that. So thank you.
Oh, that's a great analogy, and thank you for that wisdom and insight, because sometimes the body can tell us, hey, we got something going on inside. Let's fix it before we get there.
Yeah, and there are thermograms now, actually, where they're picking up on excess heat in the breast.
There you
which
go.
Is I feel far safer way to check if you're worried about any breast cancer, any breast lumps. So you should always seek professional advice if you are worried about that. But actually what we were getting to was actually coming back to liver. So we're going to record another interview to do with detoxing the liver. So if you're interested in finding out more about what Dr. Rouse was adhering to, then look out for our next interview on the liver and search for modexus.com online for the supplements. And I'm Andrea Marsh from cotswoldmenopause.com. Thank you.